I think I want to change it up. Today, it is my birthday, and I want to talk about my favorite topic to talk about, which is college football. College football playoff. Let's talk about it after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because it's my birthday. I'm serious. Like, I turned 33 today, which is the same age Jesus was when they nailed him to the cross. So I wanted to talk about college football. On the way to that, I wanted to talk about the channel, right? So, like, I made these stickers for the 50,000K club. Like, we're approaching 50,000 subscribers, which is a massive milestone for me particularly. And I am going to give you an opportunity to get a sticker before we get to that milestone, because when we get to 50,000 subscribers, I'm no longer going to let the stickers out, right? Many of you have already decided that you want to drop $5 on the cost of printing the stickers and shipping the stickers. So I'm going to do that, and they're here, and I'm sending them out as they come in. So there's a link on the community tab of this channel and Twitters and whatnot. And if you are a sustaining member of this channel, thank you so much. Membership started like 99 cents a month. And considering I put out 112 videos a month, 4 videos a day, 28 videos a week on average, right? Feels like you're getting bang for your buck. Now, with that, I am in my birthday suit. That's right. I know some of y'all think that means that it doesn't mean there's a special treat at the end of this. But I want to talk about how conference scheduling is going to affect the college football playoff, because I believe there are 5 conferences for 4 spots, right? To say nothing to Group of 5. Group of 5 getting absolutely screwed on this deal where we're seeing conference only, right? Because like Arkansas State was going to get $1.8 million to go to Michigan State. That game is gone, along with a myriad of others. And while we await the Big 12's announcement to go to conference only scheduling, which we feel like is only a matter of time at this particular juncture at the uploading of this video. But what I want to get at is who's going to win the conference championships and which one of those conference champions is going to have the best opportunity to make the 4-team playoff. It's another reason why going to 4 when you have 5 autonomous conferences is just stupid. At the very least, you should have started with 6, and then you could go to my 16 or even 24 like the FCS. But what we come back to is we've only acknowledged like 3 good teams each year who deserve, in air quotes, to be in the college football playoff. Now, that's true. What's also true is that anything can happen, and one of my favorite movies is The Little Giants, and all it has to be is one time for it to make it worthwhile, and in this thing called sports, we're all down for the one time. So I don't want to act like the 4th spot does not matter, because it truly does, especially for my squad, University of Oklahoma. I like them getting into the playoff. I don't like them getting embarrassed in the playoff, but getting back to the playoff means you get an opportunity to win the playoff game, and you can't win a playoff game if you don't get back to the playoff. So, that said, let's start with the Big Ten, for which we all expect Ohio State to defend its Big Ten championship. But with Penn State basically putting together an 11-win season last year with losses against top 25 opponents, and then just stomping a mud hole in Memphis in the Cotton Bowl, you expect James Franklin's crew to reprise as the top contender in the Big Ten East. So that game is already going to be a big deal. Michigan, as many jokes as I make, has been good. They're just not good against Ohio State, right? They can go and win 10 games, but lose 1 to Ohio State, and they never get a chance to play in the Big Ten championship because they're in the same division. Meanwhile, on the other side of the Big Ten, you got Minnesota and perhaps Iowa or Purdue, right? Purdue gets Rondale Moore back, who is the best all-purpose player that nobody's talking about. And then Minnesota with Tanner Morgan at quarterback and a return of, some pretty talented guys at skill positions. They ought to be decent enough to challenge Iowa for that spot, and I don't expect Iowa to be that good. With Wisconsin, is still Wisconsin, right? So Paul Chryst is going to put together what he can put together. They lose the game with Notre Dame at Lambeau Field, which I was very excited about. But they got an opportunity to get back to the Big Ten championship. Let's assume Ohio State wins that because the deck is stacked for them. Stacked for them in the way that we all believe that Ohio State's one of the best teams in college football going into this, and perception of the 13-member committee is what's going to actually matter in all of this, which is why I think the SEC is only going to get the one in, because we're in a very particular set of circumstances here without the cross-sectional or non-conference games to really get a great grasp of the strength of each conference, right? So you look at the SEC. I picked Alabama to win the national championship. I see no reason not to at this point. They have tremendous continuity. They return their offensive and defensive coordinators. Nick Saban is in charge. Mac Jones or Bryce Young is good enough with Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle and Najee Harris. They return Dylan Moses on the defense. They're going to be capable at corner with Patrick Surtain II. It's really their division in the West, right? I think that they're going to beat up on LSU. And the rest of their opponents, maybe Auburn gives them a run, but I don't think that Bo Nix is good enough to do what he did last year. Perhaps that's Kalen Newton's job by the end of the season anyway. And then out of the SEC East, it's Georgia or Florida. Florida needs to beat Georgia in the way that Michigan would have to beat Ohio State, and I just don't see it happening, especially as we're looking at the per capita number of coronavirus cases be like 336 per 100,000 down there, and it's only going up. So they're already going to have to contend with a lot, especially if they decide to bring kids back onto campus. But Florida has the firepower to pull it off, if not the attitude to pull it off. So we'll see what happens with the world's largest cocktail party. Even so, Kirby Smart hired Todd Monken to modernize his offense and to try to get store brand Cam Newton, a.k.a. Jamie Newman, more opportunities to throw the ball down the field with guys like George Pickens. And even if it's not him, JT Daniels is plenty capable enough. And Zamir White, I'm so excited to see him play ball. Speaking of playing ball, Trey Sanders in the backfield of Alabama. I can't wait to see that dude play ball. I mean, dude's Twitter handle is 6God, as in touchdown. I love it, man. Now I got, if you're reading this, it's too late, stuck in my head, which we'll get back to in a little bit. So let's assume Georgia and Alabama in the SEC championship game. I don't think a close game is going to be good enough for the loser of that game to get into the college football playoff this year because they don't have the non-conference standing to help them by saying, look how badly we beat a Virginia team that might play in the ACC championship game. They don't have that game anymore. That game was supposed to take place in Atlanta. Just as Alabama doesn't have a cross non-conference game with USC to say, look how badly we beat USC, who might be in the Pac-12 championship or even win it. And that's actually where I wanted to go next with this, because USC and Oregon right now feel like my picks to win their divisions and to make it to the Pac-12 championship. That said, I've been very high on what Arizona State is capable of with Jaden Daniels at quarterback, Marvin Lewis calling the defense, Antonio Pierce is doing an outstanding job as a recruiter, and Herm Edwards has done a great job of basically turning Arizona State into an NFL club. I also think the X factor over there could be a guy like LV Bunkley Shelton, who I don't think got enough publicity as a 2020 wide receiver recruit. This is a guy that Oklahoma wanted, that Texas wanted, that picked Arizona State. It's not a small thing. And when you look at the production that they've had from wide receivers and how the NFL has drafted their wide receivers in the first round the last couple of years, you can understand why I might think that Arizona State has an opportunity to challenge for that Pac-12 championship. And let's say that they beat out USC. They beat USC, they get to the Pac-12 championship game. They've already demonstrated they can beat a really solid Oregon that was led by Justin Herbert. You know, I think the strength of Oregon this year is going to be its defense, with Kayvon Thibodeau being a true sophomore, having 9.5 sacks in his first season. Justin Flo could be the Pac-12 newcomer of the year with his ability at middle linebackers. Noah Sewell, they're still letting him play inside linebacker, 270 pounds, and they're going to get better in the secondary. The weakness, though, is actually going to be quarterback, right? Because Anthony Brown transferring over from Boston College as a grad transfer, and Tyler Shuck are competing for that job, but Joe Moorhead is a capable offense coordinator. He showed that at Penn State, even if he didn't get a chance to show it as a head coach at Mississippi State, so they're going to be okay. I'm not really expecting much out of Washington, UCLA, Washington State, Utah, on down the list. Now, as we go to the ACC, it gets really interesting with Notre Dame basically joining the conference for the year, right? Means they're playing a all-ACC schedule, which means the game with Clemson's already on the books, but they also add games with North Carolina and Louisville, two teams that I think could compete for the conference championship. And North Carolina showed that they were this close to really knocking off what ended up being the number 2 team in the country in the middle of one of the great runs in college football history to, a 42-25 loss to LSU in the national championship game. They also get to add Tony Grimes. They announced this on Thursday. The 2021 number 1 cornerback in the country reclassified so that he'd get to North Carolina after finding out that he wasn't going to be able to play his senior year of high school football in the state of Virginia. That is a power move if ever there was one. So Mac Brown and Dre Bly get that dude to add to the coffers. They already had the number 2 defensive end, like, in the country committed for that 2020 class to get to play him. Phil Longo has done a great job with Sam Howell. I can't wait to see how that offense continues to hum along. And Jay Bateman at defensive coordinator has shown that he could do this at the Power 5 level after holding one of the best offenses of the last decade in Oklahoma to just 28, right? In a double overtime game in Norman with Kyler Murray at quarterback. Yeah, give him better players at a Power 5 institution, and you could see how it's going to be fit for them. But you're still going to pick Clemson out of all of this because the same reason you're going to pick Oklahoma out of the Big 12. It's just been their league. Now, what's going to be interesting is how do we take a look at 5 undefeateds? Because if you have 5 undefeateds, right, let's say for the sake of argument, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oregon, and maybe, let's say, Oklahoma. Oklahoma might be the odd team out in this particular instance because the playoff committee has put Oklahoma in the last 3 years. In each of the last 3 years, it has gotten beat. It's given up a 17-point lead in the Rose Bowl to Georgia, got down 28-0 in the first quarter of the Orange Bowl against Alabama, and then got absolutely embarrassed by LSU in the Peach Bowl, where Joe Burrow put up 431 yards passing in the first half. Justin Jefferson had 227 yards receiving for 14 catches, 4 touchdowns, and they put up 63 points, 692 yards of offense. I think that most people would want to see another team make it into the playoff, but that's disregarding the luck that has really broken Oklahoma's way each of the last 3 years, quite honestly. It's been the best team left. In 2018, Ohio State should have had that 4th spot, but then they got ran over by an actual train called Purdue, beat down by damn near 30. In 2017, that same Ohio State team got 55 dropped on them by Iowa. These are things we cannot overlook. Then, last year, all Utah had to do was beat Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. No. Utah, give me 2 losses, and Oklahoma gets in. So with that sort of formula, it looks like Oklahoma might be perhaps the last one standing once again if the Pac-12, 1, has a 1-loss champion, or 2, doesn't even finish the season. And that's kind of where we are, right? We're going to start the season probably a little later than scheduled. Like, the SEC is not going to start playing until September 26th. Right now, Oklahoma is going to start the Big 12 off on August 29th against Missouri State. And we'll wait and see if the September 12th date sticks for the ACC. And right now, the Big Ten is scheduled to start on September 5th, which means we got 5 different start dates for week 1, which is a lot of fun. But if the Pac-12 just can't finish the season, either because California Governor Gavin Newsom, Oregon Governor Kate Brown say, hey, it's unsafe, you guys can't play, or they just cannibalize each other, the fact of the matter is you could end up with another Big 12 team like Oklahoma running the table, Texas running the table, and get to that spot. Either way, I, like you, am going to count my blessings. If we get to a college football playoff, I'm going to consider that a belated birthday present. Now, I'm going to end this with the poem that got me through so much and got us to this stage, quite honestly. It's called Invictus. It's by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my inconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloodied, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Happy birthday to me in my birthday suit.